Welcome back to the Nerd Variety Podcast. I am Hannah, and I'm joined by my friends, Hunter.
Yay!
Yeah, I can't use one of my friends, believe it or not. And
Hooray!
Josh. And Josh.
Yay!
Oh, yeah. Thank you for being so excited to be
Hooray!
in my very small and selective group of friends.
We're exclusive. We are the elite.
Yeah,
I didn't know that
be
we
honored.
were exclusive. I thought we were in a more open thing.
We talked about this, Hunter.
No.
You promised us.
I said no such thing about exclusive.
You're always
Okay,
afraid of commitment.
Yes.
Sorry. Today we're going to be talking about time travel. Specifically, where would you go? When would you go? How would you go? And generally, just why it's kind of a terrible idea.
Or why it's a wonderful idea.
It's a great
I
idea.
I feel like no matter where you go, it's kind of a terrible
I
idea.
don't know. Maybe we need to discuss
it. Could be really great, but it could also blow up in your face really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we'll have to have a conversation about it.
Yeah, we totally should.
Wait, I thought we already did. Oh, no, sorry. That was in the past. Wait, we're in the past or
Future. Anyway.
We're in the present.
Oh.
So I want to know from you guys. I thought of a couple different ways that you could travel, some like classic ways, a DeLorean, a TARDIS, yada yada. But are there any sort of like what are your guys' go-to time travel methods?
Use a time ship, or a time sphere, to get where I want to go.
Okay.
I also like the idea of having like a, I don't know, like a portal or a bubble sort of thing, like kind of like the Terminators use, so they can kind of push wherever they need to out of the way where they end up.
Okay. All right.
Well, and I kind of think of I don't remember what it's called, but sorry. When you mentioned whatever you mentioned at first, like in Harry Potter, the is it a time turner?
Yeah, time turner. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking of that. That's usually not something I really think of. I don't know why. I just randomly remembered it. But yeah, that's an interesting one. But also probably in my head right now, just because I've been thinking a lot of, I've been playing a lot of Destiny. There's a whole thing, like a machine that they make in there that, like, the Vex, which are like a robotic hive mind sort of thing. They create this thing that essentially lets them travel to different points in time and just do it's complicated, but yeah.
Well,
as time travel is.
Yeah.
As that game
That'd be
is.
complicated. Yeah. I feel like I wonder if we want to separate like the actual method of time travel with like the implications of time travel from whatever like we're talking about. So like in Harry Potter and in like Back to the Future, there are some very clear like time travel effects.
Those are also different.
Like, trying to sleep with your mom and
yeah, but I mean, yeah, like those they worked very differently.
Yeah.
True, but I'm saying something like the TARDIS, you don't really in Doctor Who you don't see a ton of that like messing with the space-time continuum kind of stuff. Surprisingly.
Well, you see him making big jumps to go forward or backward in time, and you would do that with the DeLorean or other big forms of time travel. But you can also, if you want, it depends on how far you want to go back. The time turner, they use that to go kind of like, oh, let's just go back a day or 12 hours or 3 hours,
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like the way the time turner works is very similar to the rules that like the TARDIS uses, because like you have seen, especially like in the first episode of Eccleston's Doctor, his season, you see that he has gone back in time and he appears in like photos and stuff and has obviously had an impact on events. So it's not like he really changed the past, but he's affected it by having gone to the past. And that's kind of how the time turner works. Like, you see the things that they do in Prisoner of Azkaban, except it doesn't seem like it really changed the future. It just helped it happen.
Yeah,
it was always a part of the events.
Yeah, I just feel like because the Doctor goes so far back, and he's been doing it for 900 years, he knows well enough not to go to his like personal history.
He says
which is
that.
something. I mean, true, true. But I feel like that's kind of like one of the biggest sort of like stereotypical time travel no-nos is go back and accidentally become your own grandfather or whatever, right? And I feel like, yeah, I feel like.
Why is that a thing?
I don't know. Isn't that a thing?
No, it shouldn't be a thing. I mean,
I'm not saying should it be a thing. I'm saying isn't it a thing?
It's a thing in Futurama, at least.
It's a thing in Futurama.
Well, it's basically a thing in Back to the Future.
It's almost a thing in Back to the Future, but it's not.
But it was also it was named after the grandfather paradox. Go back in time and kill your grandparents. Why are you trying to kill your grandparents, or why do you allow yourself to be able to kill your grandparents?
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like it's just the stereotypical example of messing up the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could influence things to where you would never be born depending on the events that you alter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I also
that there's just like the butterfly effect,
Right.
Yeah.
I also just looked up because I wondered if a time turner can actually make you go forward in time.
Can it?
And it's the very, very brief Google searches say no.
Oh.
No, I didn't recall any examples of it.
No, which make it a pretty limited form of time travel, especially because you don't want to go back too far.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you never get back to your present again.
Yeah. It would take your hand would cramp up trying to turn back to your.
Or it would be like.
Well, and I always wondered
like the angels.
Hermione is actually half a year older than she's supposed to be.
Mm.
But yeah, it could end up being like
essentially getting stuck in the past.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
No, please.
Yeah. Nobody else wondered if Hermione was like half a year older than she was supposed to be after Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh yeah.
She was living every day twice.
Oh, she was. I thought she was just making giving herself extra hours of the school day so she could take more classes.
Maybe she was, but still, I mean, she would be in like multiple classes at once.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of that. Reminds me of another thing that I'm totally blanking on, but it in a way it's also sort of one thing that I meant to bring up about like Interstellar, if you consider that time travel, where it's like he was on a planet like so close to a black hole or something, and it like distorted time, so like a minute there or something was like 5 years in the
okay, just from a scientific standpoint, I totally believe that's possible.
Yeah, that's kind of how that's what happens to astronauts when they're out away from Earth for so long.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I consider it time travel though.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I guess if you wanted to, if you wanted to, say like, okay, these 5 people are gonna get in the space pod or the spaceship, fly out away from the Earth, and to where time dilation would start taking place, and by the time they left, but
I was gonna say I feel like you have the same problems you do with Time Turner, which is you can only travel one direction.
Yeah, that's what we're kind of stuck with.
Which is kind of like the most horrific sort of outcome of time travel, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, other than becoming your own grandfather, that's pretty terrible.
Going so far forward, but you can't go back.
Well, that was.
You just kind of have to like start a whole new life.
Right.
That was the thing they did in. Well, going back to real quick, a Futurama episode where they made a time machine that could only go forward in time, and then they did end up realizing that like time was cyclical, so they ended up going into like another universe. Another universe was created that was exactly the same to theirs, so they went going through time, and they did that twice. Just because they didn't want
to. That's convenient.
Because
I feel like
Farnworth's
that's convenient.
whole thing about that was like, it's like this way you can't go do anything stupid like become your own grandfather. It's like, I wouldn't want to do that again twice. I wouldn't want to do that twice.
I'm surprised. I feel like for certain there has to be something out there where like someone in a TV show where someone creates a time machine and all it does is make time like go 3 times as fast. So in order for you to go forward like a year, it still takes you like 4 months.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be a really interesting like sort of comedy sort of thing you could do in a show.
Now it's not quite the same, but it's kind of making me think of Click, the Adam Sandler movie. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I remember that.
I remember
wasn't a very
not
good
seeing
movie.
that. I think.
It wasn't a very good movie, but
it was kind of a Wonderful Life style, but he had a remote that he could control time with.
Gotcha. Okay.
But as he moved forward, and if he liked to be able to skip events, like family dinners or arguments with his wife, or boring play or recite something boring that he didn't want to do. But the remote would put him on autopilot, so he would be like a husk or a zombie during that whole time, and then he which ended up biting him in the butt.
And it would just auto skip certain things that like were similar to things that he has skipped before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it started learning, which really hurt. Which really started to hurt.
Yeah,
but spoiler, it was one of those stupid "it was all a dream" things, which
really?
Or was it?
Yeah. Oh, it was.
I think in general, to try and get back on topic a little bit, I think in general, if I was going to time travel, I don't know if I would do it with a time turner in that sort of way, just because obviously like the only being able to travel one direction is a problem. And I feel like in general, I feel like I would want a vehicle of some kind.
Yeah.
Rather than just being kind of like on my own.
Yeah.
So a TARDIS, a DeLorean, a ship or something.
Well, yeah, I guess if you wanted to just, I just want to have something small as a time travel, like the time turner or the time stone, like Doctor Strange had, just be able to like, I just need to rewind, the day, just go back to remember what this person said, or remember this, or
in terms of like a practical time travel.
Yeah.
Because there's the whole thing where it's like words are like, what is it? Words are like toothpaste. Like once they go out, you can't like put them back in.
Yep.
It's like, nope. Yes, I can. Just back up. I didn't say that.
Well, actually, I do love the idea of if I would be able to use the time stone, because like in that, it's one of those things where, and I can't remember if that's exactly the same as how they explain it in Endgame, but it's kind of like you can look at other possible outcomes and you can kind of experience that. I don't remember if he actually experienced those and goes through them and then just returns like they do in Endgame, or if he just kind of watches what they would be like on it.
In Infinity War, it was kind of like having a VR set on while watching these alternate futures. Yeah. At least from the way he was just like 14 million
that was
times.
kind of my assumption as well. I feel like it maybe can do both.
Yeah.
We never see him actually use it to go back in time or forward in time,
Not
like
yet.
to jumping to different. Well, can he? I don't think he can.
Well, I mean, and they did that obviously, like they did that in Endgame, but that was a different means of time travel. So.
Yep.
Which I prefer that kind of thing, like being able to go to different timelines and you kind of. It feels like you kind of have free reign almost. Like you can just go mess up other timelines.
But then what's the? Everyone's gonna hate me. What's the bald lady's name?
Oh, that's the ancient one.
That's what I was gonna say.
Movie.
The ancient one. Yeah, movie, and she basically is like, no, you can't just do whatever you want. We live here.
Yeah.
So that still has like some weird implications.
No, I mean me. I wouldn't have any morality about it. I would just go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, because if you think about it, you could eventually bring it back. You will eventually bring it back to that same point. I guess unless it actually like things start getting
worse. Depends on what you're doing there.
Things start getting worse as the longer that you wait before taking it back to the moment that you left.
That's one of those things where it kind of keeps going on, and it takes a lot of just following along this path of discussion for a long time, and I don't know that we want to do that today.
It almost makes me want to like have a conversation not about time travel, but about like And I guess we already did have a conversation about like parallel timelines, parallel universes.
Yeah, we talked about alternate
Okay.
histories, alternate stories,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of in that weird middle zone there.
Yeah.
But so I do want to know if you guys could time travel anywhere in this timeline, in our history or in our future, where would you go? Because I know like one of mine that's always been on my list. I'm a huge fan of like medieval times, like King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table is one of my favorite stories. I love it. But I know that like actually going back there would be pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So it's like there's this really romanticized version of what it is, but it's like, no, you have to poop in a bucket.
Yep.
And
Toss that bucket outside the door.
And everyone is dirty and toothpaste doesn't exist. And it's just kind of like,
yeah,
might be cool for like an afternoon.
Yeah, that's why we have Renaissance.
Anything more than that.
Just ask Bill and Ted. They've been
yeah. That's why we have Renaissance
fairs. I don't even know what kind of diseases they had back then that probably don't exist anymore.
Probably a lot worse than coronavirus.
Probably. So that's like one that I would pick, except I know that's actually awful. So
well, maybe you could introduce those things to make it better, and then it would be as nice as as it is in your head.
Yeah,
in my house, do some indoor plumbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big question. It is one of those things that I have to think about, like, well, am I allowed to bring stuff? How long am I there? Can I come back if I want to at any point? And I don't know.
Can we? Well, I mean, if you have a DeLorean or a TARDIS or a time sphere, then
I think we're making the assumption that you can come back.
Okay, whenever I want.
Yeah, I guess so. But I know, I was. Well, I don't remember what it was, but there was like some people who were having conversation about time travel, and one of them was like, "Oh, I want to go back to like the 40s. Wouldn't that be so cool?" And the other person was like, "I'm black, so no."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
that kind of thing.
Yeah. A lot of times you might not want to go back to, no matter how long you're there.
That's why I was thinking, I probably should just stick to the 80s or the 90s. Be able to enjoy it. It would be nice to enjoy those eras as the age I am now.
Yeah.
And it's not too far back to where I have to, I would be in big trouble. But I could also witness a lot of recent history for myself, seeing a lot of movies and shows and events, and just be able to, and maybe give my family some stock market tips.
Yeah, see, that's the big thing. I would want to be able to, if it would affect my present, I would probably go for stuff where I can be like, I'm going to invest in this company and do all this stuff so I can be really well off now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you just take, $100 back a couple decades, just because of inflation, you're suddenly much richer, and you put that in the stock market or into an account of some kind, and you'd be doing well for yourself.
Yeah. I don't know how it worked out.
I'm just talking about cultural enrichment, though. Where would you go?
Oh, well, yeah, I would experience a lot of stuff from the 80s and 90s, and that'd be culturally enriching.
It just totally does not surprise me that I'm like, oh, I want to go see this thing and that thing, and Hunter's like, I want to invest in the stock market and be rich.
I mean,
I'm with you, Hunter.
Yeah, in terms of time travel stuff, I've always been much more interested in going into the future, or at least being able to see the future, to see what's going on. That is more interesting to me.
I don't know about that.
You don't want to see the 2100s?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would, but maybe I'd go when I was old. Because I feel like going there now and then having to come back and being like, oh my gosh, there were all these awesome flying cars and whatever, and now I just have to go back to my normal Ford Escape.
Well, the future looks good.
Yeah. It's about just, to me, it would just be about knowing what's coming. It's not necessarily about being able to do anything to change it or to do anything at all, but just, knowing what's
But
happening.
at the same time, I feel like there's certain things you would want to know and certain things you wouldn't, right? So like general peace of mind, like, oh, people are finally getting their crap together and like the earth isn't being destroyed and like global warming's ending. That stuff would be nice. But like, oh, I learned that the date and time of how my husband died. Cool. Right? Like there's certain things you wouldn't want to know.
That's why you go forward 100 years, so it's not it's not as bad.
But I mean, I still think, for me personally, that kind of thing, even that knowledge, bad knowledge, as you would put it, it still seems useful. At least it gives you some kind of peace of mind. It lets you prepare more, emotionally at least.
Or you could take something from the future and bring it back.
I feel like that's against the rules.
Well, we're going back in time and giving ourselves or our families information to get.
For the record, I think that's against the rules too.
Well, you're making up these rules as you go along. Hannah.
I'm pretty sure those are sci-fi time travel rules.
And I think they make up those rules.
I'm pretty sure sci-fi time travel rules are very loose.
Yeah.
And they vary quite a bit from one thing to another.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
have you ever seen Predestination?
Nope.
That I don't really want to say much about it, but because I went in blind seeing that movie and it was fantastic, and I just don't want to spoil it, but I will recommend it.
Okay.
If you watch it, you'll kind of understand why.
I like a good time travel movie.
I should write that down somewhere. Write it down.
Or listen to the episode later.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah. I think one worry for going back in time, where if someone takes your time machine or someone breaks your time, something happens to your time machine, you're kind of stuck there.
Yeah.
And then you have to assimilate, and I guess do you stay? I guess you can stay alive. Are you able to send a message to yourself to stop yourself from time traveling or warn yourself about?
Bury a time capsule.
Yeah.
See, and I'm always, I tend to be more of a, the train of thought of, in terms of time travel, going back in time, or even going to the future, you can't affect anything that happens. You can just kind of see it, or, it like, you're seeing what has happened and how you got to a point. Again, like they make this point in a lot of different things. I remember in my favorite visualization of it was in I think it was an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode where they he took a book, like a thick book, drew a line with a marker across the pages, and it's like, see, so this is time, and each page is like a period in time, and you can see different points there, but still, no matter what you do here, you still have that line that's set.
So we were destined to, or it's not going to be any consequence, because it was always meant to be that we would go back in time and be a part of those events and be there and not change anything in the future.
And
I feel like I've seen that in some stories, and I've also seen that the things that we do have an effect. I feel like I've seen both of them.
Yeah. But and there's also in what I was describing, there is also the point. It's another thing that you hear a lot. It's that you can change, you can have an impact if you go back in time, but that has it's that whole thing of trying to change the future leads to the events that you're trying to prevent.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
I think go ahead. Nope.
Do you have Back to the Future consequences or Flashpoint consequences to going back in time and changing something, or do you have Doctor Who element or elements? Because it seems like Doctor Who he never really has any consequences to him going back in time and interacting with historical figures and doing all these things.
Not really. The two that stand out most in my memory are, there's one where one of the companions does go back to her personal timeline and saves her father from being killed in a car accident. and these like giant monsters come and they're like, "What you do to the timeline?" And they had to fight the monsters.
Time Cops Hunter.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Don't mess with time.
You don't mess up your time. Look at y'all.
I really mess with time.
Yeah, but the other one that stands out to me is the weeping angels, because they're these creatures that send people back and they get stuck in the past.
And then there was the Centurion.
I don't like the angels. I don't like them.
But that's the thing, is they don't actually. Well, they ended up killing people later on,
yeah.
But for the most part, they just send you to the past, and you do see like these characters who get sent to the past. Like one of them, like gets sent to the past, and then the character, like the main character of that episode, runs into him as an old man at the hospital like half an hour later.
Can't just take a sledgehammer to just.
Yeah. Yeah, but so essentially he was young but got stuck in the past, and then was old in the future. So it was sort of that like it was always meant to be thing, because he was already there.
Yeah.
Before he got sent back.
Yeah.
But as an old man.
Yeah.
Before the young man got sent back to the past.
I'm following you, Hannah.
I don't follow you.
It's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Oh yeah.
It's like Hunter, you watched Dragon Ball Super, the Trunks Goku Black arc.
Yeah.
And I was scratching my head with that for so long about how it made sense, because I was thinking, I was trying to figure out, okay, so Trunks goes back in time, and somehow is he in, which timeline is he in? What's the original timeline, and how many timelines are there? And I don't understand how this one person is two separate people. I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's Dragon Ball timelines or time travel is they follow essentially the same rules as the MCU, where it's you create different timelines each time you go back. Or something.
What is that called? That's got a name. Would it just be
I don't know.
I can't remember what it's called. There's like a name for that.
It's like quantum something.
I'll take your word for it, Hannah.
There's a name for it. I can't remember.
Okay.
So
quantum
you guys said
traveling.
So we're fans of traveling to the future, but only a little bit and only for a little while, or what?
I am a fan of only looking into the future, not actually visiting.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I don't like dystopian futures. I wouldn't want to stay there, but
although I suppose for me that's just thinking more realistically. Like if it was just for fun in anything, I would definitely go to the future and just do whatever, see what all the future has.
Just be a tourist for a day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like I would do that, but again, I feel like I would try to avoid certain bits of information. I don't want to know anything about like what happened to my family or kind of where they're at, just because that would be really sad. And then I do wonder, like, what if you looked into the future and the Earth was just like totally destroyed?
Well, I think we expect that's going to happen eventually.
So why would you want to see that?
Because it's going to happen eventually. I mean, at least you would have an idea of when and how to prepare.
I mean, I guess you could
sort of
get. I mean, you could ask like some people that believe you and try to do as much as you can to prevent it. I mean, that's the only thing you can do if you can go back.
Again, my whole thing is you're not going to prevent it. It's going to happen. If you've seen the future, future, then that's the future. It is going to happen.
What if you just blow up this one building and that saves everybody?
I don't know. I might have an ignorance is bliss mindset with this.
That might fly in some franchises, some stories, but not in mine.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't want to travel to like my personal future, just because I feel like part of the exciting thing about life is uncovering it as you go.
Yeah. Surprise.
Yeah. And then Josh says in recent history, sort of like the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
Because anything before that for you kind of sucks.
I'd be taking some very bold steps.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing I was going to say though is that's in the U.S., but we actually haven't talked about where you would go.
Ah, yes, that's true. Um, that's interesting. Yeah, and I
Honestly,
could
there's
probably
a lot of
go
places that wouldn't be all that good.
yeah. I
I
could
mean,
go a few
true, but you
places.
might be able to find something.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm thinking. I think Europe shouldn't be too bad.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean,
Besides, out beyond when, if I could find a time where everyone's kind of clean and there's a lot of culture going on, that would be fun. I'm trying to think of a good time though.
And Hunter wants to go back just like 30 years to invest money.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, also,
So we'll
okay.
all be,
The only thing, because I feel if I went back in time, really, I would get killed so quickly trying,
Well,
just because I'd be so
why?
pissed off at people doing stupid things that I know would end up just being terrible, and I would try to stop something, or I would
Yeah.
get so pissed off at people, and they would just kill me like instantly.
even
Eventually,
if you
yeah,
went
they
back to like the 80s?
Probably. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. You just get angry at everything, at the things that are going wrong. You're like, you're doing this wrong. Don't you do it? Just listen to me. I know what I'm talking about.
Or
You start,
serial killers or something. I'd try to stop them, and they'd probably just easily kill me. I don't know, because I'm stupid and I wouldn't think about it that much.
yeah. Or the government could kidnap you and be like, oh, this guy knows a lot of interesting things. Let's ask him some questions forever.
Yeah, that's why I feel like in general I wouldn't want to go anywhere more than like a day.
Right.
Like literally just be a tourist, go
Now-
see what it's like, and then go home.
Yeah.
Now, I have thought I would love to go back in time and write songs that are just about to be recorded or written by an artist, and just like do it all.
Oh, come
like,
on, Hunter.
Hot Tub Time
Wow.
Machine, Motley Lue. You guys get that, but just that kind of thing. I would love.
I wouldn't want to. I think it'd be more fun to be able to like perform with them, like convince yourself to be a part of the band.
I mean, but
Or just to see bands live that haven't
would,
been together in years.
That too.
But I'm a musician. I want
You
to
guys
be
are-
part of that. I want to create it. I want to be like,
I was
I
just
know this
thinking-
song. I know this song.
I was just
What do you mean you know?
I was just
this
thinking
song?
how cool it would be to go to
It's-
Metallica's S&M concert from back in like the 90s, late 90s. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
What about like ancient history?
Heck,
Or,
I
like,
would love just
further
to go back to 2007 and see Daft Punk's Alive in 2007. I would just love to see that. They missed it.
Okay, what about further back?
2017.
What about
Okay,
further
97.
back?
97's.
back.
I'm sorry. What? I missed that whole thing. Talking about
Anywhere you'd want to go before the 1900s.
I guess to like I would probably check in on some famous scientists like Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci, who else? Tesla. That'd be cool, just to pick their brains.
So probably.
I feel like we're now having the like who would you have coffee with in history conversation.
Oh yeah, for real. Abe Lincoln.
You know what? Actually, I was gonna say, in terms of that, probably George Washington. I would love to see just him in,
Do you
like.
think he drank coffee or do you think he drank tea?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Still very
Probably
freshly
water.
British.
Probably coffee because he's not a red coat.
Yeah.
Hang the red coats.
But no,
tea.
for me, this would be another one of those that would be really probably pretty risky. But ancient Greece.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to meet. I would love to talk with Socrates.
Yeah, I think that is also one of my favorite like time periods. I think that would be really cool to visit.
That would be fun.
But yeah,
But
definitely
there's war.
gotta lay low.
Yeah, be
Don't
very.
draw much attention to yourself. You're likely to get
Yeah.
speared.
The thing is
Yeah.
that I think Hunter, how tall are you?
6 foot.
Yeah, you'd be weird. You'd be a giant. I would be a giant. I think most of us would be giants because people have gotten, the average height has gotten higher as time
I'm
is.
pretty tall for a lady.
Yeah,
I mean,
you would be a giant too, Hannah.
Well, all the
Like,
more
where are
reason
you
for me
trying-
to go
where are you
and fight in the gladiator ring and just like crush.
You could
my
be an
enemies.
Amazon.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. there you go.
There you go.
Just become
That'd be awesome.
gladiator. That'd be cool.
Oh my God, you're so healthy. I know, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I take antibiotics when I get sick.
Oh
Yeah.
God, we
Yeah,
would
and I
all
feel
die.
like that's like yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing is like just life expectancy back then was just so much shorter than it is now.
Yeah.
It's like even if you did go back for a day, you're likely to like bring back smallpox or something. Like,
You're
I don't know.
20. You're about
Well, you
to
wouldn't.
die.
I guess. I think the thing, the worry is that you're going to go back and bring a disease with you.
Right, that's what
Yeah.
I'm
that will
saying.
that will kill everybody with you. They'll kill everybody.
Yeah, that's what
around
I'm
you.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you meant forward in time.
Although I don't know.
Bring a disease from back
Would
then
you not
to
have-
now, which
Would we
won't
not
be a
have
problem.
evolved through
That's what
that?
I am
So
saying.
would our systems be prepared for that since
I think
our ancestors
well,
had it and
Oh
it
yeah,
evolved?
maybe. Or we
I don't know.
we've built up an immunity from
Yeah.
like
I don't
more recent strains, but that's another topic for another
Yeah,
time.
that's
we are not qualified to
That's
have
a
that conversation.
really
Yeah.
complicated one.
Yeah.
Josh, you may be partly qualified to talk about.
I gotta
Did you do biology, or did you do like
Yeah, I took-
neuroscience or something?
I did neuroscience, but I took microbiology. But I
Hmm.
would need to reread some stuff there.
Yeah, I think it was my
I don't
other
know.
roommates that did like majored in biology
Mhm.
after you guys. Yeah,
I majored in physics, so I'm not helpful.
I majored in film and video, so I am helpful, but in a lot of the film side of stuff.
I just mean I'm not helpful in diseases. I'm helpful in a lot of other things.
Yeah. There was a theory that we could travel back in time under very specific circumstances and only within like 5 or 10 years, but it would only be once that technology is created. We create technology, we can only travel back to once we created the tech. There was a video online. I have to find it. And share
I
it with
feel
y'all.
like that's kind of how it works in I don't know if you've seen the movie Looper, although it may not. It's been a while
Is
since
it the
I've
same
seen
sort of
movie. I
thing
just
that's
remember
like,
liking that.
well, clearly no one's ever invented time travel because no one's come back from the future yet?
Right.
Kind of.
Is it kind of in that same like vein?
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
But it's also like it was very theoretical in that if we built it according to these parameters and it does what it's supposed to do, then it can send you back in time this far back.
And actually, sorry, I thought of something a minute ago. Real quick, would we consider like teleportation, like instant teleportation, like a type of time travel almost? Because like, because you're
Short
taking
answer,
out
no.
because you're taking out that time that it would take you to travel. So,
but in most places,
Time
no
and space are
no,
different dimensions, man.
but they're kind of tied together.
In most instances where that happens, no time has passed from. Oh, I traveled to. Oh, I'm going to snap my fingers and jump to Paris, and there's
I think
no time. Literally no.
I think,
and jump
yeah, I
back,
think Hunter's
no time
point
has
is
passed.
you're getting rid of travel time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's just it's complicated. I'm not sorry.
And we don't have time.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, we need to wrap up things here. But let us know where you would go, and we will tell you why you're probably wrong.
And how you would get there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and how you would die.
And who you'd have coffee with.
Yeah.
All right, what's going on next week? Who's up next?
Josh.
What's happening next week?
I want to talk about one-season wonders. So these are TV shows that only got one season. And, we can talk about, which ones should have gotten more seasons, which one should have definitely been canceled, and so on and so forth.
I'll have to do some research.
I think I got some in my mind.
Yeah, you might have one or two.
All right, well, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for joining us. And until next time, nerd out.
Nerd out.
Goodbye.